Welcome, dear viewers, to the Secrets channel. The center of the vast amount of literature, studies and research that abound online, Eater Reader is a specialist in this thicket vast and wide, which needs to be awake reader conscious and present-witted, to distinguish the wheat from the chaff, and beneficial from the harmful and corrupt good. I recently read a study traded heavily on the internet, has almost convinced them because of the lack of an audit in the many arguments put forward by this strange study, especially since many Arab and foreign sites this study deliberated extensively, and as documented scientific research results, but I checked this paper, and show me falsity, and not predicated on scientific and logical data. According to the alleged study, it has found the results of a new genetic study, that the Egyptian pharaohs were genetically linked to the space objects that originated in different parts of the universe. And the existing data confirm that Stuart Vishman, who is an assistant professor in the science of the genome, who is compared with the established he and his team published recently, the results of his study, which lasted 7 years, in which they studied the DNA, 9 of the ancient Egyptians in the 14th century BC. Including Akhenaten. Let them conclude that they belong to hybrid aliens, due to their great manipulation. The so-called hereditary study suggests that the ancient pharaohs of Egypt were a cross between a wicked and wicked being. Some claim that this result is conclusive evidence that the builders of the pyramids have had a strong relationship of space objects that originated elsewhere in the universe is spacious. The study indicates that the ancestors of the Egyptian pharaohs were subjected to the deliberate genetic manipulations of the Hadara civilization. The so-called study confirms that Stuart let him and his team publish the 8 samples of the lemon acid, the lemon of the acid. These are often used technology in the field of molecular biology to replicate and amplify one copy of a piece of DNA, giving researchers a clear picture of the DNA of someone. According to the circular, 8 of the original samples of 9 samples showed results that were interesting to them and to them. The 9th sample belongs to Akhenaten, the mystery of the 14th century before the birth of Jesus, and the father of Tutankhamun. They used a small portion of dried brain tissue as a source of DNA sample, and repeat the test using bone tissue, but obtain the same results. According to the alleged study, seems to be a gene called CXPACE5, responsible for the growth of the cortex, is responsible for the increased activity in the genome of Akhenaten. The researchers suggest that this gene has a higher capacity of the skull because of the need to accommodate larger crust. Professor Leishman explains, telomerase, a genetic enzyme, is only consumed through 2 processes, reticle aging, extremism, and extremism. Genetic and archaeological data refer to Amenhotep IV/Akhenaten, who lived for about 45 years of age. It is well known that this period is hardly enough for you to consume all the chromosome telomerase enzymes, leaving behind. This hypothesis is also supported by the microscopic analysis of male, according to the study some revealed scar nucleotide signs, which is a sign of healing for the telltale helix of DNA after being strong mutagen. Does this indicate that Akhenaten, one of the most obscure pharaohs in the history of ancient Egypt, has come to reveal? This prosecution supports the theory that old space objects have been visited by the civilization that has survived. It provides another interesting guide for support for this hypothesis, where, according to the alleged study, showed 2 images of bone tissue samples from the skull. Akhenaten and other mummy of the same age group is much more bone density tissue, and are fundamentally different on the nanometer scale. Could this increase in the strength of the skull bones be an indication of increased brain growth? They have reached the same results that showed increased activity in the private each genome, specifically Akhenaten, confirming the occurrence of a genetic manipulation of these old mummies, and could have been by external objects. As confirmed by the study, Akhenaten was subjected to genetic modification in his life, and supports this claim theory that alien space objects visited the ancient Egyptian civilization that lived along the banks of the Nile River. Saying to Yishman to the press, This is the exciting discovery, with the least respect. I made my team, and our scientific research to scientific arbitration, and we conduct, and retest several times, and we are confident that the tests are accurate. I do not know the full implication of our results we have reached, but I certainly think it should at least point out that the scientific community to the direction it should be rejected immediately a few decades ago. But what is the mutation that may have caused growth in the human brain? This mutation has not yet been discovered, despite the passage of years of breakthroughs in the science of genetics. Can these evidences that 3,300 years have passed through indicate that past genetic manipulation is taking place? Was this work of the arrangement of an alien or alien object outside the planet? Can myths in ancient Egypt be so influential in science? Surprise premise. Balu contact means contact very old, is claimed by the intelligent beings' hypothesis of extraterrestrial visit Earth in ancient times, in prehistoric times, and made contact with old people. The proponents of this hypothesis indicate that these communications had a great influence on religion and society. There is a common idea of the hypothesis that the ancient gods mostly, that were not all, they are in fact outside of the earth, and they used advanced technologies, but Terran humans understand it is wrong. Instead of being interpreted by a scientific explanation, they have her worship, and gave them a sacred status. These proposals were so popular, especially in the latter half of the 20th century, by writers such as Eric von Duncan, Giorgio Tsoukalas, Zachariah Sitchin, Robert Temple, David Icke, Peter Colosimo and Anis Mansur. But this hypothesis is not taken seriously by most academics. They also have not received any scientific interest, as it is non-existent in the impact of research and publications that rely on the principle of peer review. It has been widely used in the context of conspiracy theories or in the science fiction writings. It is believed supporters of the idea of aliens veterans, that human beings are either descendants of space objects, or are the product of genetic modifications carried out by these organisms for thousands of years. It associated ideas is that a lot of human knowledge handed down since ancient times, both derived from religion and Ulfagov, came from outside the ground in another ancient times, and that the old space objects were a mother culture. Supporters of this idea also believed that the space objects are built several structures on the face of the earth, such as the pyramids in Egypt and around the world, and the foundations of Baalbek structures in Lebanon or statues of heads of stone on Easter Island, and believe that humans have helped to build. And if this study was true, it would have led to an unprecedented qualitative shift. Because if space objects have been actively involved in human life since thousands of years, so will this be? Or that they exist with us, the truth that they have not left the land at all. But the most important aspect is the presence of descendants of the ancient Egyptian royal descent, who still have foreign genes in the genome of their ancestors cultivated. After doing a scientific review of accurate and intense alleged study, I did not find them any trace of my knowledge, and there is no trace of Stuart Fleischmann, assistant professor of genomics and comparative, which was referred to in this research, as well as that there is no Swiss university in Cairo. Denied the Swiss embassy in Cairo is that there are any branches of any Swiss university or government university, especially in Egypt. Which raises doubt about this study, and asserts that it is a fake study came in an attempt to apply state-of-art molecular techniques of modern biological, to confirm one of the most ideas alien controversial AU contact hypothesis previously mentioned, without having any impact scientific experimental real on the ground. Consequently, there is no tangible scientific evidence that the Egyptians are the descendants of aliens. If you liked this video, press like and subscribe to the channel.